everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Glow Podcast. I have a very exciting guest here with me today. I have Trish from Colorescience, and I'm really excited to talk to her more about skincare in general and then also Colorescience and the brand. But if you are new here, we are Tailored Marketing, and we help skincare brands and aesthetic clinics grow their businesses through strategic marketing strategies. So if you're interested, drop a comment below. Trish, I am so excited to have you here. Thank you for coming on. And if you would, I would love if you would just kind of go ahead and introduce yourself so my listeners know who you are.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm thrilled to be here. My name is Trish Boland. I am the Senior Vice President of Research and Development and Quality here at Colorescience. I have spent my entire career pretty much in product development. So I've been innovating, creating products in the beauty and aesthetic space for a little over 20 years. And the last almost 13 of those has been with Colorescience. So, I work cross-functionally with our other teams to innovate and, create and bring our products to market.
Yeah, no, that is amazing. And for listeners who are kind of unfamiliar with Colorescience, could you kind of just tell us a little bit more about what differentiates you all in the kind of becoming crowded skincare and sun care space?
Yeah, absolutely. So Colorescience, we are very much a skin health brand. So we focus our product innovation on multifunctional products that are providing high levels of all mineral actives, SPF protection. But then with that, we're also incorporating other aspects such as treatment ingredients or immediate color correction that's going to enhance the complexion. And so, to that, we also are very much steeped in the professional channel. So although we do offer, our products direct to consumer as well, a big part of our brand and our heritage has been working with dermatologists and estheticians, and those partnerships are so key to how we think about skin and how we develop products. And it's also a big reason why we do so much clinical testing and why there's so much proof in our products and our innovation. So I think that's really what makes us stand out. I also think we've been able to reframe SPF in a way that it doesn't and shouldn't feel like a chore to wear SPF. So we've been very thoughtful in terms of, how we incorporate these high levels of SPF into our products. So it doesn't feel like this extra thing you have to do. The textures are so much better than they've ever been. And so, it helps with driving compliance, and the more compliant you are, the better protected your skin is. So
yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, no longer are the days of like the white clumpy, something that we used to have. Like I remember when I was a kid, like, and my mom would be like, okay, let's put sunscreen on. And I'm like, no, like I don't
You're
want
like, no. Well, because I think it wasn't visually very attractive,
yeah.
but you also had to rub it in so aggressively. Like
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who enjoyed that. So yeah, we've come a long way for sure.
Yeah, no, exactly. Thanks to people like you, we don't have to like have a white nose or like white face and everything because yeah, I feel like that is definitely one of the things with sunscreen. People are like, okay, but like I don't want to look like that, or like you said, even have to like rub it in excessively and like irritate your skin. And so
yeah, they're almost scared of it.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think it's also really, really cool that you guys partner with dermatologists, estheticians, as well as like RNs and stuff in the aesthetic space, because those people, when you're going to say your esthetician, that's someone you already trust, and you're going to trust their opinion.
Absolutely.
If they're using Colorescience or another brand, then you're going to be like, oh, okay, like they're using it. If they like it, then I probably will too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That recommendation, directly from your skin health provider, whether it's your dermatologist, your esthetician, that goes a long way. And that, there's the confidence that you gain from that, and someone, specifically recommending something for your skin type, for your skin concerns. And, we value those partnerships because these are people that are touching and treating skin
Yeah.
every single day, multiple times a day. No one knows skin better than our partners. And so we try to be really good about listening, asking the right questions, and understanding what types of product solutions we need to be working on that will address the concerns of their patients and clients.
Yeah, no, I think that that's really, really important. I think you said it great. And kind of going off of that, getting into a little bit more about kind of some of your product innovation. So I know you guys have the Flex product and it got a lot of buzz at your most recent show in Vegas. What kind of makes it stand out in the sunscreen category?
Yeah, so Flex for sure is a standout product, has become very much a standout product for us. And yeah, at the Vegas show, I wasn't there personally, but I heard from the team that the booth was just nonstop. We
Yeah.
had people there from the time the show opened until we were trying to like close up shop. But I think a lot of the popularity of Flex is how multifunctional it is. I think it's really beautiful application. For those who aren't familiar with Flex, this is an SPF 50 product using all mineral actives. So it's zinc oxide based. And so we're able to achieve that high level SPF 50 for the light protection, but it also contains antioxidants and hydration and other nourishing ingredients. I think though what it's probably best known for, of course, is that color changing effect. So it contains encapsulated pigments that as you apply the product, the friction in the application is breaking those encapsulations, and then the color starts to bloom and sort of shift into your skin tone shade. And
That's
so
amazing.
it's so cool. And it's technology that's been around for a while, but I think what we did that made it so unique is combining that with, the high levels of the all mineral SPF protection and then these other good for you ingredients, and making it very aesthetically wearable and elegant. So people are using Flex in place of their foundation because it does have that light to medium, color coverage. But really the cool thing, and I think most people don't realize this, is that because the color component of those encapsulated pigments, we're using iron oxides. Iron oxides are actually minerals that help to defend against HEV light, or we often refer to it as blue light. But HEV light has a very specific pathway where it plays a role in hyperpigmentation, and especially stubborn hyperpigmentation like melasma. So by not only having these high levels of sun protection, but also having that blue light protection through the color pigments, we're able to help also reduce the propensity for hyperpigmentation through this formula. So I think it was very thoughtful, and we were able to deliver a lot of great benefits through this range of 6 shades.
That's super, super cool. Yeah, no, I think that that's awesome. Like, especially what you were just saying with the blue light. I mean, a lot of us are in front of a computer, maybe more than we're in the sun. And so, and also the blue light, with it touching your skin, I think what a lot of people don't realize, and I'm sure you know this, is like it can affect your sleep cycles too if you are exposed to this blue light. And so that's so cool, not only for like your skin, but also your sleep too, and probably a lot of other things as well. But yeah, no, and what you were saying too about it kind of changing with your skin tone. Something I was thinking about personally with foundation and then also tint and sunscreens is like you'll start at a certain shade, you know, in the springtime or in the winter time, and then you still have that product in the summer when you're a little bit darker and you put it on and you're like, this is just not like the shade
You're like,
I
this is
need
not my shade anymore. What happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly. And I've had that happening to myself recently with just being out more in the sun with better weather and everything. And so that's super, super cool as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And Flex, so we have this in 6 different shade offerings. We just introduced 2 new shades. So we started with 4 to mimic the brush that's fair, medium, tan, and deep. And then we've extended to two more shades. But I think the really unique thing also about our entire total protection, sunscreen platform is that so many of those face shields are meant to be mixed and matched and layered so that you can create your custom look for what you want your skin to look like, but all the while still protecting with these high levels of SPF. So you could mix your flex with glow or with bronze, or so, you can almost cocktail your SPF the way that we have developed it. And
Yeah.
I think that's really cool too, because, way back when we were talking about the mineral sunscreens of old, we would never be talking about, cocktailing or customizing your
Yeah.
SPF. So it's nice to have options, it's nice to have options, especially in the mineral SPF category.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so, another product I know that has gotten a lot of attention from your customers and also from your team and everyone really is the Pep Up peptide complex. So, why do you think that this is kind of the most repurchased product that you guys have and kind of what sets it apart from others?
Yeah, I love talking about Pep Up because for as much love as we get for our total protection products and for Flex, I think it's so cool that Pep Up is our most repurchased product. And it's also, funny enough, but maybe not coincidentally, it's also the product that our color science team orders for ourselves most often. So you'll hear us tell
That says a
stories like,
lot.
yeah, and we have this direct access to it, and I never get less than 2 at a time because I'm terrified of like running out of it. And I
Yeah.
think that comes from, so Pep Up, for those who don't know, this product is a skin serum. It's called Pep Up Collagen Boost, and it, is meant to go on to clean skin as part of your skincare routine. But what's really unique about this product is that it contains a complex of 10 different peptides. So we call this Decaplex 10. And peptides, as we know, are these little messenger molecules. They're made up of chains of amino acids, and they basically help, upregulate or downregulate different things within our skin that we maybe want to boost or change or have less of. So, for example, there are a lot of peptides that help with increasing collagen in the skin or increasing that snap or elasticity in our skin, increasing our hydration levels. And then there are peptides that help with things like copper peptide is great for wound healing and recovery of the skin. And then you have peptides that help with tyrosinase inhibition to help reduce hyperpigmentation. So we've cherry picked these 10 very efficacious peptides, put them together in a complex. But then we've also added other, what I would call collaborative ingredients like hydrators and antioxidants that actually, working with the peptides, deliver a more efficient formula so that you see visual results. And I think those visual results is why it's our most repurchased product. You
Yeah.
start to see the changes in your skin pretty quickly. And you definitely notice them when you run out and you
Yeah.
stop using the product. It works beautifully. It layers beautifully with so many different products in any skincare regimen, but you really notice when you're using it and when you're not using it. I always say it, I feel like it's a filter on my face when I'm using it
Yeah.
consistently.
No, I feel like that's like one of the biggest tellers with your skincare routine is like when you're not using it, you notice a difference. When you look in the mirror, you're like I don't look like quite as tight, or like maybe my fine lines are coming out more,
Or your
whatever.
texture, yeah, pores
Yeah.
start looking different. Your texture's not quite as smooth. Yeah, you
Yeah.
definitely notice. So consistency is key, right?
Yeah, no, definitely, for sure. And yeah, that's super cool. And so, one of my favorite applications or innovations, kind of when I was looking at some of your products and kind of seeing what you guys have, is that reapplication brush. And so, could you talk a little bit more to kind of what inspired its development and tell the listeners as well, like what it is too?
Sure. So, our Sun Forgettable Brush On Shield is a SPF 50 product, but it's actually a loose powder. And we package this in a gravity fed flow through brush. So there's a chamber with the powder in it, and then the brush head on the end. And so just by kind of turning it, I wish I had one here, but just by kind of turning it upside down and tapping it, it's like I said, gravity fed. So there are little holes, there's a chamber, and the powder travels through and comes out onto the brush hairs so that you can very quickly and easily reapply your SPF. And so this is another all mineral actives. We offered this in a variety of shades plus a colorless version. And the inspiration behind the product is that, it's hard enough to get all of us compliant with applying a base layer of
Yeah.
SPF daily and on a consistent basis. But it really becomes an uphill battle getting people to reapply. And so we
Yeah.
know if you look at any SPF drug facts box and you listen to the FDA, the recommendation is that you reapply your SPF every 2 hours or immediately after swimming or sweating. But that every 2 hours is important because, like chemical SPF, for example, is more prone to breaking down. Physical mineral SPF over time, I mean, you see, just as we're talking, I'm like moving hair off my face or whatever, we touch our face. And so we move that around. Reapplication is really important. And no one wants to reapply, if you're someone who wears makeup on a regular basis, even if it's just a little bit for, enhancement or whatever, you don't really want to go in with a lotion or a cream, something wet, and apply that over your makeup because it's
Yeah.
going to disrupt your makeup. And, so most people aren't doing it. Another example is for those of us that are active and, maybe are going for a run or are biking or fishing or just spending time outside,
Yeah.
the time to stop, like unscrew something, put it in your hands, rub it together, put it on your face. It just, now your hands maybe are greasy, it can be messy, and it just requires kind of stopping and then doing this thing that again has felt like a chore. So by introducing the brush, it's super quick and easy, it's non-greasy, it's on the go reapplication. And like I said, it's an SPF 50, so we have designed a way that you can put it on over makeup, you can put it on while you're doing your activities. It's quick, easy, and it gets the job done.
Yeah, no, I think it's super, super cool. And I think the best word for it, like you used, is like on the go. Because, like, a lot of times, like, even like the other weekend, I was hiking and I actually got sunburnt because I didn't bring like my my sunscreen that like is a tinted sunscreen that I put on in the morning, and like I just wasn't thinking about having to reapply it. But when you have something like that, it's almost like you just put it in like your hiking bag, or like you have it in your beach bag if you know you're going to the beach that day, and you don't even really need to look in like a mirror or anything to like kind of
Right.
reapply it.
Yeah, that's such a good point too. It's kind of foolproof. I mean, it's
Yeah.
you when I get my brushes, I order them in the multi-pack. So we offer a multi-pack that has three brushes in one, and I put them in every bag. So I always have one like in my car, I
Yeah.
have one in my handbag. My son plays baseball, and so he knows how to use it. He's 11 and
Yeah.
he knows how to use it, and there's one in his bag. Now he's doing the colorless one.
Yeah.
But and but I get so many people also that go, what is he putting on? What is he? And then his friends are asking, their moms for it because it's,
It's easy.
again, they're not having to stand there while mom rubs something on their face and pulls them
Yeah.
every which way. So it serves a lot of great purposes as far as reapplication goes.
Yeah, no, I think that that's awesome. And like, yeah, it sounds like if your 11-year-old son's using it, it's easy to use too. It's not like something where you have to stand there and stare in the mirror and be like, okay, like let me make sure I'm getting this
Yeah,
like in all the right places. You can feel the brush where it's going on your face.
exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, no, and something else also that you mentioned that I just kind of wanted you to go into a little bit more detail on that has kind of become, I've seen it a little bit more like on social media and on the web too, is kind of like the difference between a mineral and a chemical. Because I know something that you all do is everything is kind of mineral based. So, what is the difference in that mineral based?
Yeah, there's so much talk about this.
Yeah,
And I think there are a lot of reasons for it. So let's just, kind of get started on, like you said, mineral and chemicals. So first and foremost, we always say, and I think most aesthetic providers tell you that aside from it being a mineral or a chemical, we've heard that the best sunscreen is the one that you're going to put on, right,
yeah,
every single day and that you're going to be compliant with. But there sometimes are use cases where a mineral could be preferred. And so mineral sunscreen. So, out of the handful of sunscreens that the FDA has approved for use in an OTC SPF drug, are the only two minerals are titanium dioxide and zinc oxide. And those two together, even zinc oxide by itself, can provide broad spectrum UVA plus UVB protection. Zinc oxide is really good at both. Titanium dioxide is mainly attenuating in the UVB part of the spectrum. So that's why typically if you're looking on a drug facts box, if there's titanium dioxide, if they're making a broad spectrum claim, you almost always are going to have zinc oxide in there as well. So just those two, provide complete broad spectrum protection. These minerals are solids, so they are processed to be these, very fine powders. And you often hear about like nano and non nano. So most of the sunscreens that are on the market tend to be non nano. So Colorescience is all non nano. But these powders are insoluble. And that's important because when you put them into formulation, they have to be very well dispersed across the formula. You have to be sure that the dispersion is uniform and that it's stable. So, an example of something that wouldn't be stable is if you had a lotion and like all of those powder actives are just settling at the bottom. So it becomes really hard to use it that way. So we have to be sure that everything is very well dispersed because those powders are insoluble. Because they're white in color, that has been the issue with mineral sunscreens of old, is that they
yeah.
left a white cast on the skin, even on lighter skin tones, and they just left kind of a chalky appearance. So today we know that the technology has come a lot further, and are zinc oxide and titanium dioxide actives that don't have as much of that white cast. But another big difference between mineral and chemical is that mineral SPFs, so we have these powders that are insoluble and they're dispersed into a formula, but they're meant to sit on top of the skin. So a lot of times we hear people talking about mineral SPF or physical SPF is blocking, it's reflecting and scattering. And it does do some of that. But contrary to popular belief, that's only about 10% of the action is that reflectivity and that scattering. About 90% of what minerals do is absorption into those mineral particles, but it's sitting on top of the skin. So it's helping to prevent that UV penetration into the skin by sitting on top and absorbing or reflecting and scattering from there. Chemical sunscreens, which is the rest of the products that are not, or the rest of the ingredients, I should say, that are not titanium dioxide or zinc oxide, these are things like avobenzone or octinoxate, homosalate. So these chemicals also absorb the UV and then break that down through chemical reaction. But a key difference is that chemical sunscreens are meant to be absorbed by the skin. So where minerals sit on top, chemicals are absorbed into the skin. That's why typically if you look at a drug facts box, it tells you to wait about 15 minutes before exposure, because they need time to fully absorb into the skin. And then that is where that absorption of the UV and that chemical reaction that breaks it down is happening. And so the reason this is important is that that chemical reaction releases heat into the skin. And so for a lot of people that have, what we would maybe self-describe as like normal skin, that may not be an issue. But for certain skin types, more sensitive skin types, or those maybe that are acne prone or that have concerns with redness or rosacea or hyperpigmentation melasma, that impact of that heat released in the skin could cause additional inflammation that then triggers that cascade of events that may upregulate that condition in their skin.
Okay.
So, really when it comes down to it, FDA has approved all of them, mineral and chemical. Both work great in terms of protecting the skin from UV exposure. Minerals are insoluble. Chemicals are soluble. Chemicals are not white. So that's why traditionally, I think they have been a choice for those that don't want something with a white cast with the formulas of old, or for darker skin tones. The minerals are the only two right now. So in addition to them all being approved, the titanium dioxide and zinc oxide are the only two that the FDA has classified as GRACE, which is generally recognized as safe and effective. And a lot of that, I think, has to do with that absorption piece. Just the fact that minerals sit on top, chemicals are absorbed into the skin, and they don't know quite yet what kind of impact that may have. On the skin, on the body. So again, most importantly, find one that you love and that you're going to wear every day. But that's why we hear agencies like American Academy of Dermatology or Skin Cancer Foundation recommending a mineral sunscreen, particularly for those with sensitive or compromised skin or those that have skin concerns.
Yeah, no, I mean, that completely makes sense. You're probably not allowed to make any claims, but it's like we don't really know what the chemicals are doing, and I think we're now like finding out that chemicals in our environment, things that we're putting on our skin, are affecting us in a lot of ways that we didn't know before. So it's almost just like the unknown. So if you're worried about the unknown, then a mineral sunscreen is probably the way to go, because they're not harmful.
Right. And I think it's not to fearmonger, right? That's not what we want to do with chemicals. It's more just about like not having the information, like you said, and just wanting wanting more information. We know that both do a great job at protecting the skin from UV. It's just this additional element that we don't quite have as much information on. And so I think that's why, especially right now, a lot of people are tending to lean more into mineral sunscreens.
Yeah, no, that completely makes sense. I'm glad that you definitely like made that distinction because like I've seen stuff, but like even myself, like I'm not like 100% sure. So like I feel like the way you explained it was very digestible and also very educated as well.
Good. Good. There's so much out there. I mean, the good thing about, social media and the internet is that there's so much information at our fingertips. The bad thing about it is that so much of it is misinformation
Yeah.
or it's misguided or misled. And so that's part of our, color science goal is to try to roll out meaningful education, like you said, in a digestible way. So I'm glad that was helpful.
Yeah, no, it was super, super helpful. It's definitely the most like concise but also educated way that I've heard it explained, where it's like, okay, what you're saying is making sense, but like I also can tell that you really understand like the science behind it. So, yeah, thank
Yeah.
you for that for sure. And I know right now at Colorescience, your goal is to protect 3 million lives kind of each year and this year. What does this number kind of mean to you and to your team?
So the lives protected goal is something that we set every year. And everyone at Colorescience is incredibly passionate about our mission to protect skin. We all have a sun story, so to speak. Anytime someone is hired, too, fun fact, anytime an employee is hired, we share our sun story and it links us back to our common goal of protecting skin and hopefully helping to save lives. So a sun story is, some way that maybe we weren't very diligent with our sun protection. Most of us, it was when we were younger, or
Yeah.
maybe we know someone or we ourselves have had incidents of skin cancers or spots being removed on our skin. And so
Yeah.
it's very personal, and we all have a story. So for us, it though isn't just, it's about the products, but it's not just about the products. It's about the people wearing our products and how we're hopefully helping to change habits through thoughtful development and education. So our brand motto at Colorescience is do good, have fun, make a difference. And so this lives protected goal, which is a quantitative goal of how many SPF products we're selling across all of our channels that are getting into the hands of, patients, clients, consumers, is just one example of how we're living out that brand motto every day.
Yeah. No, that's super, super awesome. And like you said, yeah, it's about like the product because the product is helping people, but it's really about the people that are wearing the product
It
because
is.
it's it's such a larger mission than just selling product.
Percent. So, I mean, the only reason I even mention the product is because we try to be so thoughtful about the products that we're creating
For
and
sure.
what benefit that's providing to the person who's wearing it. So, that's why we have a lip product that has an SPF 30 and why we have an eye product that has an SPF 35 and why we have so many layerable products that are SPF 50, whether it be your base layer, face shield, or the color bombs, or your brush that you're using for reapplication. We want it to fit seamlessly into the lives of the end user, but we want it to promote healthy skin and to protect skin and drive that longevity of just skin health and improvement.
Yeah, no, for sure. That makes sense. And what excites you most about what is next for Colorescience? What do you guys have kind of on the horizon? What's super exciting? Obviously, the 3 million lives, but is there anything else that you guys kind of have going on over there?
Gosh, there's so much going
So
on.
much.
Yeah, there's so much. And I get very excited when I think about what's coming next because we have a lot of things in our innovation pipeline that we have to take the time to get it right.
Yeah.
But we're also just ready to roll it out as soon as possible. I get very excited also about the inclusion, skin tone inclusion that we have been working so diligently on. So as we add more shades to Flex or add shades to other product franchisees, I think that's so important. I mean, we just added these two new shades of Flex, one on the lighter end and the rich deep, which is now our deepest shade. We had to look to technology and to understand how do we really achieve that deeper shade, even with more
Yeah.
efficient mineral sunscreens. How do we achieve that deep shade, and how do we make it something that a deeper skin toned user feels good about wearing? Like,
Yeah.
you don't want to force it on someone. I have to like the way something looks on my skin,
Yeah.
you know, regardless of how someone else thinks that it looks. And so I think being able to lean into technology is something I'm really excited for. The skin tone inclusion, I'm very excited for. And then we are seeing more professional partners than ever before. With our social media presence, you talked earlier about the recommendation in office of patients and clients who are there, and your esthetician or your dermatologist is recommending a product. And that is how a lot of Gen Z and millennials are hearing about skincare products and hearing about color
Yeah.
science. And so that's exciting. But then a lot of our new professional partners are hearing about us from social media. So
Yeah.
it's this, great kind of dual engine that is working so well. So I'm excited about new partnerships. I'm excited to listen and to learn, with our innovation pipeline and how we continue to develop, just to keep going and see how we can impact lives and impact healthy habits and just create more solutions for the end user.
Yeah, no, that is amazing. Yeah, I think that that's great. And I would love for you to tell the listeners what's the best way. You just mentioned social media. What's the best way to find Colorescience?
For sure. So you can find us on Instagram. You can find us on TikTok. We're leading, I think I said earlier, so many great conversations around skin protection, sun protection on those platforms. We have, I think the last number I saw is something like, I think it was 440,000 followers on Instagram. So you'll see a lot of videos, occasional content, how to use content. And so yeah, those are definitely the best places to find us.
Awesome. And I'll also put that in the show notes too for easy access for all the listeners. Thank you so much for coming on and talking about Colorescience, skincare, sunscreen, of course, too. And so I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I loved being with you, and look forward to, continuing the conversation. So thank you.
Yeah, of course.
All right.